My name is Kate Pickup. I have the great fortune to be an employee here at the library, and I came across these ducks floating in their best state over at, well, not their best state because they weren't in the water, but they were at the Wendell Gilly a few years ago, and in that secret little place behind the chimney, and they were just this flotilla of fun. And I knew that I had to see them more, and I have the great fortune of being working with the exhibits here. And so I asked this guy to come along and to put them up. And as I describe them to people, they just don't get it until they see them. You know, it's really something visceral and almost shocking about it. It's, you don't get a, oh, you get a, ooh, or you get a, I don't know about that. It's, you know, they're really militaristic. And so they evoke something for sure. I'm so pleased. Rick is a full-time artist, Northeast Harbor, retired high school art teacher with award-winning work spanning colored pencil, graphite, mixed media, photography, painting, and sculpture. Graduate of Millersville University, his art has received regional and national recognition, including Best in Show from the Colored Pencil Society of America, and has appeared in books and magazines. And I want to thank the Wendell Gilly for their assistance with the display, the language, and their enthusiasm. Before I get on with the rest of it, I forgot to say that if you have cell phones, go ahead and silence them if you can. That'd be appreciated. We have a restroom in the back, just to the left of the door. If you came in that side, that exits on both sides. And coming up, well, we have another exhibit that you are welcome to see as well. This is Barbara Roberts and her husband, Frank Roberts. And it is Visions of Acadia acrylics, and then he has his architectural drawings of the Rockefeller buildings and bridges, and they're downstairs and upstairs. You may have seen the guitars as you're walking in. Those are made by 6th grade and 7th graders at Penitent, like Mike Rosowski, who's just a phenomenal second integrator and really just connects to the kids in the community. So they'll be here for the next week. And then coming up, we have Wednesday the 17th, we have Dylan Everett Brown, who is a horror novelist, and he has a horror novel set in Bar Harbor, among other things. And actually tomorrow night from 6 to 7:30, we have game night, and it's a Bar Harbor Pride Festival event. That's for tonight. So without further ado, welcome.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, and thank you very much for inviting me to do this. I also want to thank my lovely wife, Nikki, who is my biggest support. Anyhow, these are my notes. As Kate said, I taught art on the high school level, mostly drawing. And one day a student came into my class and had a decoy. It was actually this decoy. And it sat in my class. I had it in sculpture, not sculptures, but in setups so that students could draw, along with a bunch of other things. But the duck would be there. But I knew in the back of my mind that I was going to do something with this duck. And it sat there, and I started doing some sketches, and I came up with this freighter idea. And so got plexiglass out. This is actually a container to a exactum, is what that is.
Can you look at that?
Yeah, absolutely. And as Kate said, they all float. And that's even the better part, is that they float. And as a diver, after I got this guy finished, I actually did go back in and redo it because it was the first one. I didn't really like it that much. And so, like in the last couple of years, I added these guys, redid some of the guns. It's an attack freighter, is what it is. And I would go to the dive site. Now, I lived much of my adult life down in Pennsylvania. And went diving in this one quarry that's south of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And it was great. There was a sunken road about 10 feet down, and I have a reel that I use when I do wreck diving. And I just attach it to the bottom of the duck, and I'd go out and do this nice little shallow dive, looking at fish, and this duck would be up on the surface, following me the whole time. The other divers would look at me like, "What's with this guy?" You know, diving is serious. My friends, on the other hand, "Do you have another one?" I'm gonna tow one too. And so I'd bring us, after I got a second one done, I would bring it along, and some of those guys would tow it around. It was a lot of fun, except every once in a while we get stuck in a tree and, have to take care of that. But this is what they basically look like, just a regular decoy duck wherever I can find them. Sometimes antique stores, thrift stores, wherever. And this guy, I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do with him just yet. But there's some holes in here that'll get patched. Yeah,
Question. Every decoy I've ever held seems pretty heavy. That looks light.
it is like,
What's the difference?
I had some wood ones, but I didn't like the woods. But it's just a plastic decoy. That's all it is. You want to pass it around? I don't know.
Yeah. May I put some up on the shelf, because they're a little hard to see from the back?
Okay,
That's okay.
yeah. This one, by the way, is radio controlled. I've been wanting to do a radio controlled duck for a long time. So I picked up one on the internet. It's not the greatest, but I had fun making it. There's a bottom piece that goes under here that is the radio control part. And I put it in Mill Pond when there was a lot of ducks around. And I've always wanted to do that, have them the duck would go along, and it's like, oh, the ducks are looking at it, and that's not a duck. And they skedaddle. They would stay away from it. I was like, all right, fine. But this is what it looks like while it is being worked on. This is, as far as construction is concerned, that part's finished. Now I have another evil plan with this guy, which I will get to. But as you can see, this is just a little plastic tube. A lot of times I use prescription bottles. Water bottle tops. These are actually little caps to Flonase bottles. The sinus reduction. And as you can see, the bottom is just the way it is. Now, I have tested this floating wise, but not since I constructed it. Usually what happens when I construct them, they will list a little bit this way, or the bow will go down, or the stern will go down. So I have to weight them. This I bought online. And this is a full-size Canada goose. And as you can see, I won't make any comments. But I put weights on there because it was sitting in the water like that. So, I put it in the tub, check it out, I put weights on the top of it and move it around until it floated just right. Now, initially, when I did construct these, where did I put the freighter? Anyway. There it is. My whole idea of doing this was to protect waterfowl from predators, either human or animal or other birds. And so they would fight against these things with, the guns. And it just snowballed. I mean, I did that freighter 2008. This stuff is not my main thrust by any means, but it is a nice sideline. So most of the time I do a lot of colored pencil work. I'll do ink, drawing types of artwork. And this is actually the very first time I've ever talked about my ducks and length. So Anyhow,
So Rick, what do you use to, is there a special glue that you use and a special paint? And do you
I use, if you look at this, you'll see a lot of black, and that's like the 5-minute epoxy. So it's nice because it's quick, and I can glue it, and then in 5 minutes or so, I can start working on other areas and know that it's going to stay in place. Some of the stuff that you see here is nothing more than auto body filler. So Bondo. I use a lot of Bondo, and Dremel tools. So I use Dremel tools, whatever, sandpaper, sometimes files, whatever actually works. And model parts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do the armaments that you add, do they extend down into the body of the duck? Or is it all just kind of imposed on the top?
These are just glued on. Some of them, depending on which one, I might have a rod going down. When I was a child, I used to build models all the time. Cars. I eventually got into cars, but I was building tanks and all sorts of things, and ships and whatnot. And I loved doing it. And it just sort of stuck with me over the years. And after I was working on that freighter, I get tired of working on a drawing that takes me 100, 150 to 200 hours. I wanted to do something with both hands. I worked with ceramics before, which I enjoy that as much as other things. But these were something a little bit different.
And then what do you use for painting? You spray it? Brush it?
This gray is nothing more than auto primer. That's it. This one, on the other hand, is going to be totally different. It's going to be a different paint scheme. My plan is to have kind of a tan, and the eyes are going to be red.
Ooh.
And this is going to fight against those guys. I know, I'm a sick in the bit But they're fun. They're fun to do. And a lot of times, I have my one studio that I have, because I have a drawing studio, which is wonderful. And then I have a second studio, which I call the duck room, which has a bunch of ducks like this and bigger ones that are waiting for me to do something with. And they're just sitting there, and I don't know, whenever I get around to doing it. This guy will be finished sometime, probably this summer. What am I going to do with it after that? I don't know. But they're fun. I just enjoy working on them, I'm trying to think what else. But the radio controlled one was something that I've always wanted. And each of these are named after my dogs. This is Arch, aka Archie. And this is Freya. I had two old English sheepdogs. One was Freya, the other one was Ogden. And Ogden is the aircraft carrier, which is down there. You can't think, you have to walk over there. You can walk over there, go check it out. And I wanted World War II planes sitting on the aircraft carrier, but I could not find them. So I ended up ordering these little jets. But I've always wanted to do an aircraft carrier. This guy, I had thought about making an aircraft carrier because at that time it was the biggest one that I've got. But it ended up, as you can see, becoming a battleship. Now, this was not named after my dog. This is called Dynamo. Long story.
Rick, have members of the military ever seen these? Do you ever bring them to events?
Somebody came up to me, where was it? At the Gilly, and said to me, "There's too many guns on it." And my response was, exactly. It's a duck. This guy I had to fabricate completely, and actually, the piece that's sitting on the top is from the Starship Enterprise. Seriously. It was on the top of the bridge. That little piece right there. Yep. And I have models that I have, some that I have been planning on actually building the models themselves, but, and I keep all the trees and all the other pieces that I don't use with the idea of maybe just having a little piece like right there. Is it actually a ship? No. Although I do have a bunch of printouts of battleships, destroyers, freighters, all around my one studio. And I use them. Although not all the time. Whatever seems to kind of work. And I don't have a whole sketch of exactly what it's going to look like when it's completed. But I will start with the superstructure, which you see there, and then have a plan to kind of build up from there. Here, I'll walk around a little bit.
Have they ever been in the water together as like a flotilla?
Just at the gilly. I've had a couple of them together, just like two when I was out diving. But the gilly had 6 of them at the time.
We have 8. Sorry.
Well,
So it's
Not
just
different.
a short time ago, so that you folks could see how I
Yeah.
build them. And it's all just pieces of plexiglass. But here's, of course, a plastic knife. And so the duck can flip that around and nail one of the other ducks. This is serious stuff. And these, most of them have a turbo power, which is this little guy coming off the back. Do they go? But I haven't really put them in the water up here in Maine. In Pennsylvania, the quarry that I dove in, it was perfect. Water conditions weren't choppy or anything like that. And it wasn't salt. I don't know what salt would do to some of these areas. I had one at Shaw's Jewelry. They have a little pond in the back, just a little kind of thing. And I asked St. Shaw if I could put the duck in the water just to test it out. And it was out in the elements for like a week straight. And that was this guy. It does not like being up against a Newfoundland dog. Get this in his mouth. And so I had to do some rebuilding and fix after being at the gilly, the masts were, and these are just paint brushes. That's all they are. Some prescription bottles and water bottle tops. Vitamin bottle top. Color-wise, it's very much like a regular Navy ship. The other aspect that I would like to do is to weather them more. Usually I get them all finished, but I like to rust one out a little bit more. So I've been doing a little bit of studying on how to go about that. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it just yet, but it's in my head. Eventually it'll happen.
Iron pills.
What's that?
Iron pills.
Iron.
Gives a patina.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have orange paint that I think, mix up and just thin it down, whatever. And the base is really nothing more than cardboard. Now this I made really, really fast, just for this show. So I probably will rebuild this a little bit, but it gives you an idea. I just take canvas and I cover the whole thing with canvas and glue.
How long does it take?
Good question.
Which
It
varies.
depends on the piece.
Yeah.
Usually what happens is I get really busy on them. I'm sort of so focused like this that I'll just, every waking hour, I'll be down in my studio, cutting sand and making noise. Filling those things with Bongo. So.
Has any birder or mythologist spoken to you about the different various types of?
I'd like to say that I know a lot about the ducks. Canada goose. This is an eider, only because it says it on the bottom. This is a little duck. And I think there is one that is a mallard. Which one is that? I guess it was this one was a mallard. And I forget what some of these other ones are. But no, I'm not really I like birds, especially hawks. I used to go to Hawk Mountain in Pennsylvania to watch the hawk migration all the time. When I was out hiking today, saw like 6 osprey all flying in what they call a kettle, which, I'm fascinated by those things. And then, of course, loons. I cannot find a loon decoy.
Oh,
Probably because they don't.
nobody wants.
But these are so cool. Yeah, I do too. Questions?
You, any thoughts of making clipper ships?
No.
Oh.
Get out.
What's a clipper ship? I'm sorry, I don't know what that is.
Not something fails and all that.
Oh,
That's not quite my area. So, and with the rigging and so on, some of them I don't put rigging on like this guy only because it's going to be moving around in the water and I have no idea what's going to happen to it. So it got a little bit further away from me one time and it stopped and went, how am I going to get that back? So I moved around a little bit on the pond and I got closer. Luckily, it started back up again. But I want to get a better radio controlled decoy that's a little bit stronger and bigger that I can really play with. That's really what all these things are really about, is just play. I have my serious work, I have my play. Questions? Yes, sir.
Ever thought of putting a BB cannon in one?
a BB gun? Oh,
You're evil. No, actually, I didn't. I've seen like videos on YouTube of battleships that actually shoot and so on, but no, that's not quite what I want to do. That's a lot of time and energy that I just don't want to put into these. There's another question back here. Yes, sir.
I had an uncle that lived in the Adirondacks and went to slow up there. So in the winter time, he put a deer out in this field, meadow. And he used to watch the hunters go through and shoot them. And then you see the one had like half a leg and all that. They never shoot at it with dogs.
Yeah, probably. Well, this battleship, this one here, I had in the one quarry, and I just kind of pushed it out. I was sitting on the dock, and there was a couple of ducks that all of a sudden were eyeballing, kept on going like, and it got closer. And I'm not sure why it kept on doing that. And I'm not sure why it didn't come closer, but it probably saw me sitting on the dock.
yeah.
But it just kept on going and kept on turning around and looking. So I got its attention. Other questions? Yes, sir.
So, I thought you were gonna, somebody saying, you want to write about, other duck from, merchant trips.
You know,
Named by Roosevelt, I think.
yeah, I have a lot of ideas for you. A lot. Whether or not they all get done, I'm not sure. But like I said, I spend a lot of time on my drawing. And that's my main focus. But these guys, I've gotten more publicity and attention for Huck's Ducks than I have for anything. It's amazing. And I want to thank Sean Charette over at the Gilly for naming this. And at first I didn't really like it because, I consider this, it's a serious art thing. You're laughing, hold on. But, and more I started thinking about it, that's just novel enough that it's catchy. So I liked it. And then they were over at the Gilly for, let's see, from mid to late August through almost the end of April the following year. So it was nice.
And they'll be here until the 29th.
29.
The 29th. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Did you ever sell one?
Sure. If somebody wants to buy one, sure. I'll sell one. That just gives me more space in my studio. But right now it's nice because I have other things in their spaces. But when the show is over, then I gotta find a place to put them all. Yeah, it's just a little plastic duck, isn't it? I don't like the wooden ones. For some reason, I just don't care for them. These just have always worked out so nicely. And I like that they float and I can play with them.
So Rick, what I heard you say is you want a living. And do you want us to save our medicine bottles for you?
No.
We need any content.
Believe me, I have enough medicine that I've kept. But I find stuff anywhere. I'll be out walking the dog and I'll find something on the ground and it's not curious. Put it in my pocket, put it in the duck room. I have a cabinet that's full of stuff. And I have another shelf that has models with remnants of other things. And I have car models that I picked up from a train store down in Pennsylvania where we used to live before we moved up there. What am I going to do with those?
Another table.
Although I might build something that fits on the radio controlled part of this guy and not be a duck. So it might be a car that's full. I don't know. It's creative stuff. It's all a matter of thinking. And it's fun to do. It's a lot of work, but it's fun. Yes, ma'am.
Can you describe the scene that when you could be seeing that video? Control thought, will there be a crowd around or did you have a full
No, not really.
destination of the duck?
I first tried it out over at the Azalea Garden in the off season. And it worked great. And I think that's what that video that keeps going on here, where that was. So I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do at that point. Any other questions?
Yeah, question. Back to your freighter. You mentioned that it had a gun on it.
Yes.
Is that normal to have guns on freighter?
There are attack freighters.
Yeah.
Yeah. During the war, they had several guns. Like they'd have a deck gun, like either those or a stern gun.
Yeah.
Aren't they called Q ships?
Mystery
You
cube.
might be right on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
That was the orange freighters.
Hmm.
I had they were disguised. I had an uncle that was on one. I said, and they dropped the sides down.
Yeah.
Go after the stuff.
I want to do some camouflage on something. Yeah. Yes, sir.
You should try, plugging them and operating a remote one on the lantern line, please.
Oh. The peaceful.
You're very work.
I'll have to work on that. Any other questions?
Have you drawn them?
You know, that was my initial thought, is to draw these, but I never got around to doing it.
Not yet.
Not yet. Like, my work goes from all sorts of different things, as far as my thinking is concerned. And since moving up here, I found that there's so many trees out there that look like octopus. You know, with the tree, the roots going out over rocks and so on. So I just enhanced those. And if you go over to the Hulls Visitor Center, you will find an octo forest that I created when I was an artist in residence for the park in 2024. So it's over there for 7 years. And sadly, they don't have the artist in residence program this year. But we won't go there. Yeah, it was an honor to be asked to do that and so on. Other questions?
Do you have an overarching goal for this? Are you planning on building an armada, or do you just do it
My fleet.
when the fancy strikes?
My fleet. My duck fleet. No, not totally, but it sort of seems like that, doesn't it? Like I said, this is gonna be the arch villain. But you know, this wasn't the greatest decoy, because there was a big hack in the plastic up in there. That's why that line is there. I just put Bondo into that. And what's that?
Give them out.
You know, I thought about putting like turrets up through here, but
Oh.
that might be just a little bit too much even for me.
It does look sinister.
Yeah. Like a scar. Uh-huh.
I'm curious that.
Ooh.
And you'll just starting to grow gums.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one was a little bit of a challenge. It's simply, it's not built quite as symmetrical as I would like it. When I forget where I picked it up. Probably, I don't know, 2 old goats maybe, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, I pick them up wherever I can get my hands on them. Yeah, there are people that keep this. Or those, that big trash day. I'll walk around, you know, walking the dogs, or I'll drive around, and if I see something that's like, oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
Have you thought of making a submersible one?
A submarine.
Yeah.
That has been presented to me, and I have thought about it, and I'm not quite sure how I want to do it just yet.
Not swim underwater.
That's true. That's in my thinking. Also in my thinking, which has nothing to do with any kind of armament, was I was going to take one of these ducks and put a house on the back of it. And I said that to John over at the Gilly. He liked the idea, but that means I got to build a house. Not quite what I'd like to do, but it's also in my head. So I don't know. I'm not sure what else I'm going to be doing with something like that. They're just fun to do.
Have you thought of turning one into a model plane like they all used to have as kids?
I was thinking about putting wheels on this guy.
Mm.
Covering this up, building some kind of frame down here and put it on wheels. Actually, for tonight, if I had time, I would have done that, just and walked in with Wasn't sure how serious you guys wanted me to be. Like I said, but I have these at school. Some of them, when I got them finished, I had a showcase outside of my classroom, so I would put some of these things in there just to show students how nuts I really am. And they enjoyed it. No, I wish I knew, remembered the young man that gave me the first one. But I don't. Yeah, I taught high school for mostly like 40 years, a long time. I loved it. I still, thanks to social media, I still stay in contact with a lot of these people. And it's great. You know, I know I've made a bit of a difference in their lives, my own as well. But thank you so much for coming.